Horrible. Mary, everything going good down your way?
That's crap, I forgot my glasses.
Really?
Oh, well.
They get excited tomorrow.
Wait 30 minutes.
Oh, don't say that. I made the mistake of saying that. They're going virtual tomorrow.
Oh, excuse me.
Don't say cancel. I made that mistake and got corrected.
Well, thank you for correcting me.
Yes, ma'am.
We all ready to roll? I think it's 6 o'clock.
Federal funding? Well, we'll see. It's one-time funding, so it's not like we can use that wood in over a period of time. This is, you get it and it's over. So make sure we use it wisely. We also bought a bunch of land just recently. We borrowed area land.
What's that?
This ordinance number,
Because again, like I said, it's one time.
to tie it in with public. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order with the invocation and pledge by the Honorable Johnny Mack Scurry.
Our Father in heaven, we come in today begging for your guidance and your understanding in everyone's heart, in everyone's mind, and in our hands, God. Give us what Newberry County needs and direct us as we go forward. In the sweet name of Jesus Christ, may we all say together, amen.
Amen.
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Item number 1, additions and deletions. Do we have any additions or deletions?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask you to consider moving public comments up to prior to our, make it 1A, move it prior to the ordinance discussion so that people that are here to discuss that can go ahead and be heard before we have third reading. And then, so I just ask that we move public comments up to 1A.
All right, we've got a motion to move public comments to 1A.
I was going to have a similar suggestion, but I'd like to move the ordinance hearing to 12B. That way, if there's something else that goes on in the meeting, anybody else is here that wants to make public comments about something else that's said or done would have that opportunity. I think having public comments first precludes that. So I'd like to move this ordinance as part of that, as far as comments.
I'm not,
Move the ordinance hearing to 12B, right after the public comments. That gives them their opportunity, but if there's somebody here for something else that we do or act upon the agenda, that still gives them their opportunity.
yeah, but.
We're saying the same
but by
thing.
moving, I don't think so, because by moving it to 1A, if there's people here to speak on any of the other ordinances, they'll go ahead and speak. If we move it to 12, move the ordinance, the singular ordinance down to 12, then other ordinances we vote on won't have the opportunity for the public to speak first.
But they won't have an opportunity to address anything else we did along the way during the meeting, is what I'm saying. We always do the public comments at the last in case there's an addressment of what we have done in the meeting.
Okay, well then, let's go one step further then. Let's allow public comments initially, and also allow a second set of public comments at the end of the. Well, I just want people to be able to speak.
That's my contention.
Prior to
That's why I want everybody who signed, even though we've already had the public hearing, when anybody who signed up, I want their public comments to be heard before we vote on it.
On anything, or just that one thing?
On anything, but I want them to also have that opportunity with the other. We've always taken public comments at the end, so we can drop that as part, right below public comments, and we're done.
Okay. I will, that's fine.
All right, so for clarity, we are moving items 2 to 12.
He'd have to amend his motion first if we're gonna do that.
You don't have a second on the
Yes, so he'd have to change his motion first before we second it, right?
If it doesn't have a second.
It's not a motion.
I got you.
So what am I hearing?
Well, it sounds like we got two motions. So,
One of them been second.
Neither,
I don't have a second, so
well, I would make a motion that we move the hearing on the ordinance on the rezoning, which is technically labeled number 2, as item number 12B, so that everybody who came to talk about about this has their opportunity to speak before we take that final vote.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. With that being said, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of the change of the agenda? All in favor of the agenda as amended? It is unanimous. All right, so we'll skip number 2, jump to number 3. Ordinance number 020321, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a first amendment to an existing fee in lieu of tax and incentives agreement, the fee agreement by and among Newberry County, South Carolina, the county, and the companies collectively identified for the time being as Project SAM 2 to provide for A, the extension of applicable investment period set forth in the fee agreement, and B, certain additional special source revenue credits, both in connection with additional investments in certain manufacturing-related facilities in the county and 2 other related matters relating thereto. This is the second reading. Do we have a motion this be the second reading?
I make a motion this be second reading.
Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Reader. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Item number 4, an ordinance number 03621, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of tax incentive agreement by and between Newberry County, South Carolina, the county, and Newberry Electric Cooperative Incorporation, acting for itself, one or more affiliates and/or other project sponsors, collectively the company, pursuant to which the county shall covenant to accept certain negotiated fees in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to the establishment and/or expansion of certain facilities in the county. The project. 2, the benefits of the multi-county industrial park or business park to be made available to the company and the project. 3, certain special source revenue credits in connection with the project, and 4, other matters relating thereto. This is the second reading. Do we have a motion to be the second reading?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to recuse myself as this is a place of my employment, and I don't feel it'd be just for me to vote on it.
Okay, you're accused.
I make a motion we accept.
Motion that we accept, second by Mr. Johnson. Any additional discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, I think Nick can come back in. That was a quick. Sorry.
You could have stayed still for that.
Hate you missed all that discussion.
I know it.
Item number 5, ordinance number 030721, an ordinance amending Chapter 31 of the Code of Ordinance for Newberry County by adding language permitting council members' participation in council meetings remotely through the virtual electronic means as a permanent option. This is the second reading. Do we have a motion this be the second reading?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Shealy, second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion?
yes,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, last time when we discussed both ordinance 07 and 08, we asked that the words be added to identify that that option to participate remotely would be justified, that there would be on record that that would be justified. I don't see that additional language having been added.
Okay, I mean, we can ask that that be added in.
I think Mr. Topper's got something.
Mr. Tothiker?
Mr. Chairman, I provided 2 ordinances with the language. I don't know
thought
where
so,
they went.
yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at what's provided here and reading just what the chairman read does not have that.
I think that was in the packet that we had, an original agenda packet. If you had gotten the original agenda that was sent out initially,
I can read the language if that will help, because it's the same language for this and also the one for the Joint Planning Commission. And I would suggest that you revisit the motion, say I move second reading as presented in the amended.
okay.
But let me read the section. It's the same section, it appears a little bit differently, but it says, any member, and this is the one for the Planning Commission, any member that will be unable to attend meeting in person who wishes to attend virtually shall give advance notice to either the chairman or the county zoning administrator, and council would be the county administrator, stating the reasons they are unable to attend in person. Once they are appearing virtually in the meeting, they shall also preface any action by stating for the public record the reason they are unable to attend in person. That's going to add it to both.
That's the way I read it, yeah.
That was in the original packet that was sent out to all of us.
But that's not in the ordinance language right here that we're voting on.
Okay, all right.
Not the whole ordinance,
Yeah,
it's-
this just a Cliff Notes
just a
version.
clip note.
So,
All right, do we have a motion to adopt the second reading as read into the minutes by Mr. Topeka, by the person that made the motion? Second, okay. All right, any additional discussion on that? All in favor? It is unanimous. Item number 6, an ordinance permitting Newberry County Joint Planning Commission and the Newberry County Board of Zoning Appeals to conduct virtual electronic meetings permanently. This is the second reading. That was also in the packet that we received throughout the initial mail out. What are the wishes of council?
I make a motion that we accept.
Motion we adopted, second by Mr. Shealy. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Number 7, ordinance 030921, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a First Amendment to the fee in lieu of tax agreement and by the and among Newberry County, South Carolina, and Cipro Boats LLC to provide for the extension of the investment period thereunder, the issuance of certain special source revenue credits and other matters related thereto. We have a motion to be the first reading. Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Reader. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Thanks for CPRO providing the jobs that they
We
do.
are
up in
so
Whitman.
excited CPRO's there. Yes.
Yes. Item number 8, 03-1021, an emergency ordinance to suspend temporarily the normal operating procedures applicable to the meetings of the Newberry County Joint Planning Commission and the Newberry County Zoning Appeals to declare a state of emergency with regard to their continued ability to conduct necessary business of the county, to provide for the emergency procedures for public meetings for the Joint Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals during said emergency, and to provide for the continuation of said procedures upon extension of the ordinances by Newberry County. Do we have a motion to, for this to be the first reading? Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Reader. Any discussion on that one?
yes. This emergency ordinance are we only going forward with this, or are we on 3-10-21?
Yes, 3-10-21.
That seems to be redundant unless we're just passing the emergency until we have third reading of item 6.
Mr. Tothiker, we can let him address that right quick.
Chairman, you're correct, Mr. Hipp. The problem is, we will have third reading for the council change before the reauthorization of the emergency ordinance allowing that to occur. Unfortunately, the emergency ordinance for the Joint Planning Commission Board of Zoning Appeals expires the Monday before the Board of Zoning Appeals has a meeting, and the third reading would be that Wednesday, so it's going to have to cover that one meeting, basically.
It's just a stopgap is the way I understood it.
And I think that was in the packet that we got too.
So being an emergency ordinance, we pass that? on one reading tonight.
Yes,
Yes,
and when the
okay.
third reading, the emergency dies, but they gotta have that because there's a meeting in the middle.
Okay, any additional discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Item number 9, consideration to approve the South Carolina Alliance, Central SC Alliance fiscal year 2021 third and fourth quarter invoices totaling $36,000, recommended by the Economic Development Committee on 03/01/21. What are the wishes of council?
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation.
Okay, got a motion, got a second?
I second.
Got a second by Mr.
Yes.
Johnson, any discussion?
I think that it's self-explanatory, but I'll just, for the benefit of everyone, the Economic Development Committee does review what we're getting from them and determine the value for the amount of money that's spent. So I think that's important, that we just don't blindly hand that out.
Yes.
And this is 2 quarter payments.
2 quarter payments, yes. And I think the Economic Development Director back there would say that they do provide a good bit. And they are going to have us in the South Carolina Biz magazine and the different economic development spaces that we have available. That's going to be in their next feature magazine sponsored by South Carolina's.
They did that video also.
Yeah, and a video that's out there in the public for all economic developers across the nation and across the world to see. So anyway, any other discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Do we have any appointments tonight?
I have one, sir.
Okay.
For the Board of Zoning Appeals, Wayne Boland has been on that probably about since the inception of that. And he has agreed to stay on it, and we need more people that want to stay on these committees. And he had expired, so I'd like to get him back as active.
Please say his position has expired, not him.
Yes.
Do what?
I say, please say his position has expired, not him.
Isn't position expired?
Yes, Wayne has been, he serves that committee, and he serves it with great pride and complete dedication. So yes, we do need more people like him, Mary.
Second
We got a
her
motion, we have a second?
Yes.
Any discussion on Wayne? All in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you, Mary. All right, at this time, we'll go into executive session. Item number 11, executive session code section 3-4-70A-2. Discussion of negotiations incident to a proposed contractual arrangements and proposed sale of purchase of property. The receipt of legal advice where the legal advice relates to a pending, threatening, or potential claim or other matters covered by the attorney-client privilege settlement of legal claims or the position of the public agency in other adversary situations involving their assertion against the agency of claim. The executive session concerns the lawsuit filed by West Hobby against Newberry County. Do we have a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Mr. Shealy, second by Mr. Johnson. All in favor? We shall go into executive session and return shortly. All right, we're missing two.
One. Always stand up for a lady.
All right, hold on. All right, coming out of executive session, who would like to report out?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Newberry County Council went into executive session for the stated reason to discuss the case with West Hobby against Newberry County. No action was taken in that session.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, please. I would make a motion that we authorize the attorney representing Newberry County in this matter to enter into negotiations within the parameters set forth in executive session.
Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Hipp. Any discussion on that? All in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you. All right, item number 12, public comments. We have a good many people speaking tonight, so we will hold the ropes at 3 minutes per person. And also, I think, Nick, we had talked earlier today and asked people that if they didn't have anything new to say.
If you have anything new to bring to the table, we welcome it. We don't need to go over the same things over and over.
Okay. All right, with that being stated, I think our first person signed up is Becky Boland.
Good evening. I'm Becky Boland. I reside at 1704 Coon Trestle Road in Pomeria, right around the corner from where the rezoning is going to be taking place. Hopefully, if we can stop it, that won't be the case. This morning, if all of you were able to check your emails, I did send out to you a brief email. Mrs. Mary, yours did come back to me, and I resent it a little bit later in the morning, so I hope that you found that in your inbox, but it had 7 attachments to it. So this is all brand new. So this is all good stuff for you guys to listen to. So we had 3 photographs that were attached to that email to the county councilman and the county councilwoman this morning. 3 of those were photographs from the meeting that we held on Sunday evening with about a 48-hour notice to the public, where we gathered at Jolly Street Community Center right down the road from that property. I also had 3 pictures attached that showed signatures that we gathered from that community meeting, so you could just see the quantity that were there. And then I also had 1 picture on there that was a Facebook post that I happened to run across last week in the Chapin Life Facebook group. It's much like our Newberry Now Facebook group, where the people in that community have gathered themselves on social media to, just report findings or to ask questions and things like that. This post was by David that lives in Chapin, and it simply has a picture of traffic on a 2-lane small road. And as we all are aware and have spoken of before, the infrastructure in Chapin is certainly not set for what has come into that community over the last decade or so. And it says, "This is on Wessinger Road at 8 a.m. Thanks to the people letting all of this happen in Chapin, building all of these houses so close to each other. What happened to the half-acre lots or 1-acre lots? It's all about the money." And besides it saying David and in Chapin Life, it could say Becky and in Pomeria Life, if you will. It said exactly what I think about this project at hand. And note that we are here not just about a housing development. We're here because of the rezoning request. And that's what it all comes down to, is simply the rezoning. I have in my hand, and it can be passed if need be, the sheets with the signatures on it that I attached earlier, but we also have many more names since that picture came to you today. It is now at 82 names. 12 more of them were signed this evening out here in the misting rain that were not allowed to come into the room because of the quarantine COVID guidelines that we're all going by. Some of those are still out there in their cars. Some of them did elect after I informed them that we moved it from the beginning of the agenda to the 12th part of the agenda. Some of them did decide to go home with the rain worsening, but I do have a picture on my phone of those that were gathered outside. There's a few things that I want to say. And every time I've come here, this is my 4th meeting in a row now, so I feel like part of the gang, and unfortunately. And I have been known to say that I'm a fast talker, I'm a fast walker. People love my country accent and can't believe I talk as fast as I do, considering I was raised in these parts. But I've always been that way. Someone actually told me this past week, in total different subject area, nothing to do with the rezoning, that I don't tend to have dust settle on me very often. So I like to
30 seconds.
I like to think of myself as a doer and a shaker, and I like to think of myself as a fixer most often. Sadly, I think this kind of fell into my lap a little late in the game, and I wish I could rewind back to October and November and help fight this a little bit more in the beginning. But I will say that I hope all of you that have voted against it will continue to do so, and those of you that have been going for the rezoning will consider changing that vote. We still have time, and we still can make a difference if you simply vote against the rezoning tonight. So we are not making posts like Chapin Life did this past week.
Caleb Boland,
Thank
next.
you.
My name is Caleb Boland. I live at 1704 Coon Trestle Road, and I'm 19 years old. Unfortunately, I've not been here to the past meetings because I've been in school, but I'm not for this either. And if this was in y'all's neighborhood, y'all would not be for either. In my opinion, the area does not need a housing development. The schools do not need this, and they cannot handle any more kids, according to what I've been hearing. And this should end the discussion right here. The roads cannot handle what's already here. Other developments should be handled before even considering this. We need to repair, widen, and either create new roads, Also, we need to create safer roads, especially along curves and intersections. For example, pulling out of Carolina Middle School, this is a big one, especially if you've experienced it. I know some of y'all have. I've seen a lot of accidents. And this will directly impact that and make it a whole lot worse. And also, the curve around St. Paul Lutheran Church. That's just a death waiting to happen. And this is very important, making sure schools can handle the additional kids. Because Pomeria Elementary, they just built a new school 10, 11 years ago. I was in 2nd grade. And that's because we were in portables. And adding this amount of kids with their max, that they're already maxed out, adding these kids, be right back where we started. And adding the more people will lead to more traffic, and this will only make these conditions worse. And I've heard that young people, they need a place to live. Well, I can speak for the young people. This is not what we want. We were raised in the country, and we want to raise our kids in the same manner. If this passes, then this is just the start of a slippery slope. We do not want this. There are many places for people to live if they want to live in a housing development and live right beside who they can see right through the window. It's not what we want. We don't want this in our community or in our future community. And finally, I'm thankful to have been raised in my community, which is rural. I hope that I can raise my future family in the same way. And I'm just not for this, just to let y'all know. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for staying within the 3 minutes. Yes. Amanda Moss.
I'll wait. I'm good.
Ronnie Kynard.
Ronnie Connor, 2978 Old Jolly Street Road, Prosperity. You may hear something that you already heard tonight, but I'm going to run through what I've written down, jotted down. everybody's saying there's no rooms in the schools, in 3 elementary schools, in the junior high schools. Looks to me like that should kill this project right now. Something that bothers me, most of you people, council, live 10, 15, 20 miles away from this community. And I know it's legal, but it just don't seem right that you should have a right to tell us what we got to put up with. That's my opinion. I know it's legal. That's my opinion. And it's almost seemed like to me useless for people to have comments against something, because I've heard nobody for it. So, I mean, what good is it people coming here to make public comments if you don't kind of halfway listen to us? There was a couple comments made last council meeting I was here 4 weeks ago. One council person said, poor people need a place to live. You know, a lot of people's got land. Poor people need a place to live. I'd like to know how many poor people can spend $250,000 for one of these houses. I don't think I could get along for it. And one comment was made for the people that spoke against it. Said, I believe probably all of you people had 50 to 100 acres of land yourself. Well, that's nobody's business what somebody else has got. You know, I hate to put it like that, but it's true. And it's almost seemed like nothing personal to the builders. I'm serious. But it's almost seemed like a little greed on the builder's part. They couldn't be satisfied with the current zoning. You know, by the current zoning, they could have 1 house per acre. And, you know, if they done it like that, nobody would be here talking. You know, I just written down, I'd hate to live with that, just like I'd hate to live with Joe Biden as our president, but I don't hate to like either one of them. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for staying within the time period. Appreciate you. Hang on, y'all. I'm still trying to read. Patrick Metz.
I'm Patrick Metz, live at 9166 US Highway 176. I know when back here for the first reading that y'all had a picture of this piece of property up on the screen there. I don't know why don't have one up here tonight with us here discussing this issue. And I know it's one, thank you, ma'am. I know it's taking a few minutes of my time here now, but at that time, I didn't know how many acres, and still don't know how many acres it is, but I think I could see from the distance a little bit here that the rural R2 look around about 44.5 acres. And, you know, that's 1 acre. And then I think the other one over there is about 8.5 acres across the front there on 773. That's about 8.15 acres there. And that's around about a ½ acre there. So, you know, you take these numbers that's already there and what the developer won't just rezone to, you're going to ask around probably extra 25 plus houses, because the 8.5 is just 2 houses, this average, that's 16 houses. He said take 10, I know he said about 10 acres to do a road, so I'm just throwing the 45 out to 35, so that's 35 houses. So around 50 houses where he's asking for over 80 plus houses by getting it rezoned. And thank you, Les Hip, for giving us the opportunity later in the thing there. Also, Todd, thank you for letting us have a chance to come and talk. And the chairman there, Henry Livison, I'll call you by your thing, but I know what we call, but thank you for letting us to come here and talking to y'all again tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you. I hope y'all thinking very hard about this piece of property not getting rezoned.
Thank you,
because of the
Mr.
housing.
Thank you, Mr. Messon, even with us taking your time, you still finished with less than 3 minutes.
Yes, I could have thought.
Kyle Neese. Oh, okay. Mike Satterfield.
I'm Mike Satterfield, Great Southern Homes. I'll be real brief. We appreciate the opportunity to work with council and administration on the possibility of a new community at Jolly Street and 773. It's been a pretty lengthy process. I think we applied in August of last year. So, you know, it's been a fairly lengthy process. But along the way, I just want to say we've tried to do our part. We've met multiple times at the request of council and to try to talk through concerns and issues, and some of the things that we have done. You know, we reviewed the CC&Rs and tried to go through the covenants restricted, as it'll be a restricted community, as we've discussed previously. We've added buffers along the way. You know, it was something that we worked out with Ms. Moss, trying to get a buffer down the property line. We've increased lot sizes along the way. There's 20 lots in the neighborhood that'll be a half acre plus. And, you know, I've agreed to deed restrict the property to no mobile homes. That meaning ever. It'll be on the title chain, so it can't be changed in the future. There will never be any mobile homes on that property. You know, we'll continue to try to address concerns. And along the way, you know, I made some verbal commitments. We met at the Sheriff's Department and had a small group there and discussed CC&Rs, and we talked about some things that I would be, or we would be willing to do. And just part of this, I've taken the liberty to put those things in writing, and you guys can attach them to the minutes of this meeting or however you want to do it. But I'm trying to do what I said I'd do. So included in there, Amanda, is the buffer information that I talked to you about. It states exactly what we would do in discussing some things as it relates to the product. And again, just trying to, you know, I know I can't please everybody in the county, but we've worked hard to try to get there. And I think at the end of the day, there's a very real need for housing in Newberry County. And, you know, if the county and the council
30 seconds, Mr. Martin.
wants it, then we feel like we can be the guys to do it and to do it well. And with that, I appreciate everybody's time, appreciate the process, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Jimmy Scott.
My name is Jimmy Scott. I live at 343 Jolly Street Road, which is directly across from the two entrances that's going to be in this new subdivision. I have about 800 foot of road frontage, which is going to cover at least half of this. I'm going to be looking out of off my front porch at the back of these houses. You know, I'm sure there's going to be a buffer. There's going to be some trees, maybe a fence. But, you know, I bought this property to live in the country, and I bought it under the pretense that, you know, if there was anybody to build a house, they would have an acre. You know, I've got 2.5, almost 3 acres. I don't have a big tract of land. I have some family land that's there next to me. We got, within the family, we probably got 50 acres that would make another subdivision. I'm not interested in having a subdivision. I moved out of a subdivision. You know, I pay twice as much taxes in Newberry County as I paid in Lawrence County. And I'm very much concerned about the traffic, about the people coming in, and what's it going to do to the value of our homes. You know, I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but I'm very, very much against it. I would like to know what the process is for this. I was never notified. I thought adjacent property owners would be notified of a rezoning. I've never been notified. I didn't know about it until Sunday, when we had a community meeting. That's when I found out. I had heard rumors, but I didn't know we was on a third reading that I could have come up and spoke. I was never notified. I thought it would be the, responsibility of the county or somebody to let me know what was going on. I've paid taxes here. I've been on that piece of property for 16 years. I know what council's looking at. They're looking at 80 homes, taxes, everything going on, but we got to support all these people that's gonna be moving in there. It's not just gonna be a family. I love a neighborhood. I'd love for us to have more neighbors, but I don't want to be looking at the back of somebody else's house. And I don't think any of you would want to do that. I don't think if you've got a place that you've spent your life trying to have a home, that you'd want somebody to come in there and build a subdivision on a 3rd acre lot that you got to look at the back of their house. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for staying within the 3 minutes. Cherie Richardson?
Good evening. My name is Cherie Richardson, and I live at 1559 Coombe Trestle Road, and I have lived there for 33 years. Also, as many of you may know, I owned a heating and air conditioning business in Chapin for over 30 years. So I am very, very well aware of growth. There is such a thing as smart growth. You do not get from point A to point C without going through point B. That's what we're trying to do here. We are jumping too fast. And like Ronnie Kynard said, I mean no disrespect to the builder, but if we would build these houses with 1.5 acres land, I wouldn't be having a big problem with that. But no, we have to go for the big bucks and build 80 or 90 houses because it's not profitable enough to build less houses. I am very, very concerned about our roads and our school. The road that I live on is horrible. They patch it up with little crumbles of asphalt that look like crunched up Oreos, and it lasts as long as Oreos would last. Here we are wanting to put this many more houses in. Our roads, how are our roads going to handle it? We can't handle it now. Our schools, they are at capacity. We cannot handle this many people. And I know it won't be immediately. You said that it will be over a span of time. We can't handle that. I am so afraid of how traffic will be at the end of Jolly Street Road. It's bad enough now trying to turn left or to turn right. You can't see well enough. And I think it's just an accident waiting to happen. I think that if any of this were to be proposed within a couple of miles of your houses, that you would be very much against it too. I chose to live in the country. I love where I live. Please, please, please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you for staying within the 3 minutes. All right, I think that's all we have on the agenda, on the public comments to sign up to speak. At this point, we go back to item number 2, ordinance number 11-2420, an ordinance acting on a request to amend the official zoning map established pursuant to zoning ordinance number 06-1116, codified in chapter 153 of the Newberry County Code of Ordinances, so as to rezone one real estate parcel totaling 52 9/10 acres, designated as TMS parcel number 631-12, tract A, from single-family residential to R2 to single-family residential RSM. This is the third reading. Do we have a motion to be the third reading? Motion by Mr. Reeder, second by Mr. Johnson. All right, discussion. Do we have any discussion?
I'd just like to say to everyone in this community, I have heard you. This council has heard you, and we are not deaf to your concerns. I had a conversation with a school board member on the way here tonight, not from the district I represent, but another, who assured me that the school district would be able to meet the demands that would be brought on. And his concern was that he had to go out of town to a grocery store to get groceries. He said, the only way we're going to have more grocery stores, the only way we're going to build our community is to get more houses in and to get more people in. And so I share your concerns about the roads, and I believe that you have valid concerns, and certainly those will have to morph and grow over a period of time. I believe the builder has tried to meet and make concessions to be a good neighbor, and I think that we need, if we're going to have the kind of infrastructure that the people of Newberry County want, including grocery stores and other facilities, we're going to have houses. And so I would plan on voting in support of this.
Other comments? All right. Just kind of running down a timeline of this. I think we started this back in November, prior to some of you being on board and getting the initiation by heat of initiation by fire, however you want to look at it. I see, Nick, you're shaking your head down there. The initiation by fire of something like this. I asked y'all at that time to please stay abreast of what was going on, and I think all of you assured me that y'all were watching it, that kind of stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, again, I think, Pat, you did acknowledge the fact that that we didn't have to have the hearing again because we've already had a public hearing for this meeting. I think there was a meeting at Pomeria Garmany School that Mr. Boozer, I think, called at one time. I think there was a meeting that Ms. Boland, you had Sunday that you kind of called via Facebook. Mr. Shealy, if not bad wrong, agreed to call a meeting, and it was held at the Sheriff's Department. Unfortunately, that meeting was not posted, so according to FOIA. I think there were 2 council members in attendance at that meeting. Of course, the rest of us, I don't think, were. But anyway, I went back to try to find the minutes and see what was said at that meeting. Unfortunately, we're not able to, but I think if is this kind of what was spoken about at that meeting?
That's correct.
That's correct.
So it's great to finally have, even though I guess you would technically say it was kind of an illegal meeting, it is nice to have some of the minutes that were revealed from that meeting. So with that being said, Nick, thanks again for trying to go to that effort to try to have a meeting. And at this time, again, y'all.
I just want a little clarification. It was not an illegal meeting. It was not FOIA because there was not a quorum of council members present. There were only 2 council members there, and it was a community meeting. There was no violation of.
It was Public Works and Planning Committee, 2 people of that committee.
This was not a Public Works and Planning Committee meeting.
Okay, all right, we'll just talk about the technicality of it. We'll roll on, because I really want to just say that we are proud that we have had plenty opportunity to speak regarding this topic. Get on the Facebook and you see how many people. I think if we had just had a Chick-fil-A, a Cracker Barrel, and a grocery store, we would probably have a county administrator sitting over here tonight. So anyway, this is just getting. No, I'm not. I have the right for my comments. But my whole point is, we want grocery stores, as Mr. Johnson said, and I think from that perspective, that's why we need more houses. All right, all in favor of this subdivision, please raise your hand. It's 5. Any opposed? 2. All right. Comments from council members. What I would like to hear tonight, we need to move forward after the retirement of our county administrator. We need to move forward with some kind of plan, and if you could just kind of give me an idea of what y'all want, we'll try to have that on our next agenda. So, Mr. Shealy?
It's my recommendation we reach out to all available sources to advertise for a new administrator, and council will review and narrow the search down from there.
Okay, I think that's a valuable comment. Mr. Hipp?
Well, I think we need to have this county council needs to get together and actually have a work session talking about what we need to do. As far as a search committee, I think we ought to reach outside of this council and choose a couple of people not involved with government, not involved with this council, but who could add a good view of this selection process. So I think we need to not try to do this all internally. Now, whether or not we choose to use a job search contractor, used only South Carolina Association of Counties, I don't know, but we certainly need to get some people outside of this government body to assist in that selection process.
Okay, Mary?
Well, as far as the advertisement, I think we ought to start with the Association of Counties. That's where generally all of the government post their jobs, and maybe the Municipal Association, and of course on our own website. At least those to get started.
Okay. Mr. Johnson?
I would be of the same mindset. Let's reach out to the Association of Counties. I know that on the school board side, they actually have a process where they'll help you screen candidates and stuff. And so if we had something along those lines from the Association of Counties, that'd be invaluable to us because you're gonna get a number of resumes, but you need to get them screened down so that they're manageable. And so I would love to see us reach out and see what kind of resources they can provide us.
Okay, Mr. Scurry?
Yes, sir. We go forward in the most proper manner we can go in. Let us come together and pick out someone from that have a list of the names available for us. And one issue that I forgot, I will look the appointment for the 9th. I'd like to appoint Ms. Anna K. Coleman for the zoning committee.
All right, y'all heard that motion, even though it's past appointment time and we missed him. We apologize for skipping you, Mr. Scurry. Anna K. Coleman?
Yes.
Do we have a second on that? Second by Mr. Hipp. Any discussion?
No, thank you so much for finding her a position on that committee.
All in favor? Folks, it's always a hard time to try to find volunteers at no pay, so if anytime we can get somebody, God bless you and God bless them, because it's a no pay committee. So, all right, Mr. Reader.
I truly agree that we need to bring in an outside agency, somebody that has no ties to council to review the applications and eliminate those that we don't actually meet the qualifications. And if the Association of Counties have that would be really great.
All right, one of the things that I think we already have, per our last meeting, we have a contract that has been reviewed by a lawyer. We probably could use that same contract pretty much and just change the names and change the numbers. But again, we would just consider that in the process. I think Mr. Hipp had said that we have a work session. I'm looking at maybe our county council next meeting is on 4/7. Maybe we have that scheduled at 5 o'clock prior to the meeting at 6. How would y'all feel about that?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be absent from that meeting. Cooperative annual meeting is April 7th. My primary job, I'll have to be at the annual meeting on April 7th.
All right, well, we would like for you to be there. There is a finance committee meeting on 3/29 at 6 p.m. What if we did the work session 5 p.m. on that day? This is something I want everybody involved in. I don't want anybody saying, and I'm not saying you would say this, Nick, but I want somebody, well, I didn't have anything to do with it because I wasn't there. I want everybody involved. So would that work? 5 o'clock on the 29th? Does that work? All right.
March 29th.
Yes. In the meantime, one of the things I will try to do to have for us to at least look at is a job description that we can look over, and maybe 2 or 3 job descriptions from different places, different counties. I will try to call the South Carolina Association of Counties to see if I can get a sample of a job description. Of course, we want ours kind of relevant to Newberry County also, so I think we'll ask Catherine to see can we pull the last one that we had, and then hopefully we can look together to see what we can put together to make the best one that would accommodate Newberry County. Is that reasonable to ask?
That's
You want me to do that, or
Yeah.
everybody's in agreement for me to do that? Okay. All right, so with that said, unless there's other comments regarding that, we'll proceed with that. Any more comments that just filtered through your head while I was talking? No? All right, with that being said, our Finance Committee meeting will be on 3/29 at 6 p.m., but with a work session regarding the search committee, a search for county administrator at 5 p.m. The next county council meeting will be at April the 7th at 6 p.m. The Public Safety and Courts Committee will be on April 19th at 6 p.m. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Nick, second by Mr. Airwood. We are adjourned. Yeah, and I won't, oh, this one.